So I'm going to go ahead and start with the presentation. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and send them through the question tab. We'll be monitoring that, and you can also use the chat tab. And so if you're having any audio-video problems, just let us know. So the Rainforest Alliance was founded in 1987. We are a nonprofit organization with our headquarters based in New York City. Our agricultural program is actually based in Costa Rica in San Jose. And the organization really got its start in the forestry realm, working on forest conservation and forestry certification, and moved into the agriculture realm actually in the banana industry. So from a small organization that was run and led by a group of volunteers, we've come a long ways to a point where we are today, where we actually have an operating budget around $30 million annually, and we have approximately 300 staff around the world. We have offices in 14 different countries, and we have a smattering of home offices like myself out here in Seattle, in various parts around the world as well. So just bear with me as this is the first webinar that I've done, so things may be a little bit slow in transition. But again, I just want to give you a little bit of sense of the organization, and because probably most, if not all of you, assume that we're focused on coffee, cocoa, tea, bananas, etc., really focused in detail on the agricultural work. You may not be aware of some of the other programs that we have in operation today. And forestry, as I mentioned, is probably our largest program, and it's our oldest program. We have a tourism program that focuses on sustainable practices for tourism operators, largely in Latin America at this time. We have a relatively new climate program, and the climate program is really looking at how we can use some of the other programs to make a positive impact on climate and to sequester carbon and reduce our global impact on carbon stocks, etc. So the climate program has really gone from relatively infancy stage to a larger and sort of cross-cutting program that works with our agriculture program, our forestry program, etc. And then we also have two other programs, an education and communications program and research monitoring and evaluation program. The research monitoring and evaluation program is maybe of interest to you because it's really looking to demonstrate both quantitatively and qualitatively the positive impacts of our programs on the ground, which we can use, as well as companies like yourselves can use, to market demonstrated impacts on the ground, as well as we can use to improve our certification standards and actually have greater impact into the future. So, as I mentioned, forestry and agriculture are really our two largest programs. Forestry, for those of you, you may or may not be aware of the FSC. You'll see the little tick there on the screen in the lower right. The FSC has really gained a lot of prominence and recognition in the last year or two, largely through the paper industry. You can see the FSC symbol on catalogs, in furniture now, in certain stores, and so more and more you'll begin to see the FSC, which is the global standard for sustainable forestry. And the Rainforest Alliance is a founding member of the FSC and also the largest certifier to the FSC standards, with over 123 million acres certified. In the agricultural realm, as I mentioned, we did start in bananas, and then many of you may know us from our work in coffee. Over the last 10 years, coffee has really sort of pushed the organization from an agricultural perspective into a position of prominence. And from coffee, we've, in the last 5 years, really begun to focus more and more on cocoa, on tea, bananas, and several other crops that are large volume commodities that really impact communities in the developing world and really impact biodiversity as well. So to give you a sense of the scale of our agriculture program, we've now certified over 31,000 farms around the world. The largest portion of those are coffee farms. Probably the fastest growing portions are cocoa and tea. And one of the key drivers between our growth into prominence with our agriculture program is actually a United Nations Development Program grant. The grant is a 7-year grant to certify 10% of the entire global coffee supply. And then we have commitments in tea and in cocoa from small, medium, and large companies around the world, which are really driving our growth in those sectors as well. So I want to give you a quick primer, and this is going to be really quick and basic. Some of you may not be familiar with certification and how certification works, so I want to make sure that we don't gloss over that completely. So I'll give you a sort of the mini abbreviated 101 version of certification. Any farm, regardless of the crop, whether it's a cocoa farm or a cooperative of coffee farmers or a plantation in tea, no matter what type of farm, every farm will have an annual audit, except in one case in the group certification model, and we'll talk about that in just one moment. But basically every farm has to have an annual audit, and to be certified, the farm needs to do three things. They need to get an 80% overall audit score. They need to get a 50% in each of the categories that you see in front of you. So you see there are 10 principles of sustainable agriculture. And then they need to get a 100% score on the what we call our critical criteria, and there are 14 critical criteria. Critical criteria are issues that we feel no matter what the farm, what type of farm it is, no matter what country it's located in, we feel that all farms should be meeting these 14 criteria, and those are issues that are just drop-dead issues like child labor, banned pesticides, deforestation of primary forests, discrimination in the workplace or in hiring, etc. So farms need to meet 100% of those 14 critical criteria, an 80% overall audit score, which is basically ensuring a high-performing farm, and then the 50% is making sure that it's a real balanced approach to sustainability. And that balanced and comprehensive approach to sustainability are really the trademarks of Rainforest Alliance certification. So our certification and the goal of our certification program is to be as comprehensive and well-rounded of an approach as possible to sustainability. So within each of those 10 categories, there are 94 criteria overall to our standards. And within those criteria, there are 300 to 400 actual individual indicators of the criteria. So the auditor goes out and they're actually looking at the indicators. So this should give you a sense that, we're not, regardless of what Consumer X tells you or Company Y tells you about what Rainforest Alliance stands for, whether it's just the environment or it's just occupational health and safety, the reality is that it really is a cross-cutting approach to sustainability. And it's covering everything from wildlife protection to forest protection to the fair treatment and good working conditions for workers, occupational health and safety, and then really looking at, in the social realm, conditions for workers, families, and communities as well. So to give you a quick sense, I just want to give you, 3 or 4 quick examples of what certification might look like and what some of these criteria might look like. One of the things that we see most often is in the water conservation realm is that farms will actually have to put in buffers. So farms will have to put in plant buffers of native vegetation around streams and waterways. So this ensures that there's no erosion into the streams and waterways. It ensures that there's not a lot of traffic pushing down, whether it's sediment or debris, into streams and waterways. And ultimately, if a farm is using a pesticide, and it would have to be a pesticide that's not on our banned pesticide list and would have to be used appropriately, that those pesticides are not leaching into any stream or waterway as well. One of the things that we've seen on certified farms, which is probably one of the most impactful things, is that through certification, farmers are making significant strides in their livelihoods and significant gains in their livelihoods through other means than just the trade of those crops. So many farms are seeing gains in productivity. Many farms will see gains in quality, whether it's cocoa quality or it's coffee cup quality. Some of those gains in quality are actually achieved through some of the post-harvest practices that are implemented and improved on the farm. And really, to give you a sense, and we do hear it a lot, that people assume that the Rainforest Alliance is just about trees or just about wildlife. To give you a sense and something that you can connect to, that over 40% of our standards are really dealing with the social and the occupational health and safety of the farm and the workers and community around them. So I want to shift gears away from certification. So you can remember that we certify farms over 80% in the audit score, meeting 50% within each of those categories, and 100% of the critical criteria. The other thing is that we can certify a single farm, whether it's a man or a woman owning, a single hectare or a very small farm. We can certify a democratically organized cooperative. We can certify large plantations and estates, which is relevant in a variety of crops. And then we have a unique model, which we can also certify a group model, which is basically if you have 30 farmers in a remote area that want to get certified together but may not want to go into business and sell their coffee as a cooperative together, they can form a group and have some organization and standards associated with the organization without necessarily, again, going into business together. So any questions on certification, we can handle those offline. I can talk to you and a group within your company at any time about our standards. And of course, the ultimate that we talk about is getting you and your staff down to some of the certified farms so you can see for yourselves what certification is about and what are the lasting impacts for farmers, and their families. But I do want to shift gears into the marketplace because many of you, if not all of you, are really here to experience and learn about what the Rainforest Alliance is doing in the marketplace, what is available to you in terms of tools and resources, etc. So what are the drivers behind the growth and sustainability? And what is the consumer doing? What is the consumer not doing? What are the options available to you as marketers to really make your foray with the Rainforest Alliance successful and as successful as possible? So a couple quick studies that I think are particularly interesting. One is this Deloitte Grocery Manufacturers Association joint study that was completed last year. And this study, basically they went across the country to all national retail outlets in the U.S., all retail grocery outlets, excuse me, and they surveyed consumers in and out of those stores. And they wanted to know, who these consumers are that are choosing green products, how important green products are for consumers, etc. And what they found is that over 90% of these consumers are basically looking for green products. And so you've got a 90%, who are answering, yep, I'm interested in green or sustainable products. And then it breaks down to 54% of those shoppers are actually using sustainability or the greenness of a product as a key factor in their decision-making when they're actually making those purchases. And it breaks down further yet to 22% of those shoppers are actually going through with that purchase and they're actually buying the product that is green. And so, it's a considerable jump between each of those categories, and they followed up with the consumers that are breaking down in each segment, and they wanted to know, well, if 90% are telling us that they are green shoppers or they're interested in green consumerism, why aren't they actually going through with those products? And the key reasons for that gap were that they couldn't find products at their price point, lack of education, maybe they weren't able to understand what a claim was on a product, or they didn't know what a certain seal or a certain claim meant or what a certain issue was about. And then the third piece is that they don't trust what a company is claiming itself on its packaging. And a couple quick things. The Rainforest Alliance, our goal is really to bring mainstream consumers, or is to really bring sustainability to the mainstream consumer and to make sustainability a mainstream proposition. And we define mainstream as having products available at every price, at every quality, so that any consumer, no matter where he or she is shopping, can go into the store, or can go online, or can go into his or her coffee shop or grocery store or whatever it may be, and find a product that is sustainable and that he or she can make that choice for him or herself for those products. The other third piece you can see that I just mentioned is the consumer distrust piece, and really that's where an organization like ourselves gets into business, is the third-party verification. Another quick study, which is another big driver, or another analysis of what's going on in the markets of green consumers, is looking at what consumers trust. And you can see this is the average consumer again. And the average consumer, second to Consumer Reports, is looking at certification seals on packaging as the second most trustworthy source of information on a product. Those consumers, to sort of look at a different segment of the consumers, those consumers that see themselves as trendsetters or out in front of the curve, they're looking at certification seals on the packaging more than anything else except for just the list of ingredients. So you can see that really the consumers, no matter what segment they are, they're looking for information. In many cases, they don't have enough information. They don't have enough on-package education reinforcement. They may not have that third-party certification seal. And it's really the combination of those things. It's the education, it's the product available at that price point, and it's the seal accompanied with a story or more information that are really making successful ventures for companies into the sustainability realm. And so you can see on this slide, you know, we don't want companies just to slap a seal on it and leave it at that and just, you know, go on to the next big thing. We really want companies to focus on communicating what certification is about, communicating a little bit about maybe one of the farms that's supplying for you and what certification is done for that farm or farmer, to really focus on carrying that story throughout a store, whether it's your own retail chains or if it's a grocery, some sort of creative way to get beyond just the seal and to pull that consumer in. Because one of the fascinating things about that Grocery Manufacturers Association study is they found that green consumers are the most loyal consumer segment of all consumers in the United States. And they also found that those consumers come back more frequently and they buy more. So they're the segment that is the most brand loyal of all segments of consumers. But they may be, you know, the hardest to really get at because you really do need to go above and beyond to educate those consumers. So we work with a variety of companies in a variety of sectors, as you know, and companies really choose to use to partner with the Rainforest Alliance for a variety of reasons. Some of them will do it as a corporate social responsibility exercise. Some of them just want to get that seal on the package. Some of them want to gain access to new consumer segments. But really, you know, most companies do it for a variety of reasons. They want the seal on the package. They want to draw consumers in. They want to attract new consumers. They want to, you know, work with those consumers that are brand loyal already. But others and many will do it because they feel like as a company and as individuals working for the company, they should be sourcing sustainable products or crops, and they should be integrating more and more of certified crops into their supply chain. And, you know, we work with so many different companies. I think in the U.S. alone, in just coffee, we work with 300 to 400 coffee roasters, and that's just one market where we're working. In Canada, we work with dozens of coffee roasters. In Europe, again, dozens and dozens of roasters. And the size of those coffee companies and chocolate companies and fruit companies varies from, you know, mom and pop single employee companies all the way to some of the largest companies in the world. And so these are just some examples that we're going to show of some of the larger examples of what companies have done. We do have dozens and dozens of examples of what smaller companies have done and done effectively. And again, you know, we're happy to really work individually with your company to make sure that you are successful with us, to provide information, resources, etc. We want you to be successful in partnering with us, and we want you to ultimately grow your commitment to sourcing certified goods. But you can see Chiquita has worked with us for over 15 years, and they have just demonstrated incredible successes through their supply chain in reducing costs, increasing productivity, greater worker satisfaction, better image, etc. We work with Kraft across many markets and many different product categories. And one of the new companies that we work with is relatively new. It's probably 2 years now that we've worked with them, is the Lipton Group. And you can see in many cases these companies have not only been successful in growing their market in terms of new products, etc., but they're growing their market in terms of unit sales for the same exact products when they're working effectively to communicate to their consumers. Another example in Europe is McDonald's. We work with McDonald's in Europe and Australia. And I put this up here not to show that we're working with McDonald's, but because McDonald's was a real successful campaign in Europe in that they adopted Rainforest Alliance certification for their coffees, and that was really the only variable from one year to the next. And by adopting Rainforest Alliance certified coffees and sourcing 100% certified coffees and marketing and promoting those heavily, they had an over 20% unit sale increase from one year to the next. So when it is done well, it is something that just does extremely well for companies. So I'm going to give you a bit of a sampling of you know, where the frog is, because more and more and I believe everybody on the call is from North America or is at least based in North America. If not, I apologize in advance. Feel free to hammer me over email or give me a ring. So these examples are mostly geared towards the U.S. and Canada. Starting now, or starting last year, starting to see more and more paper. Again, I mentioned the catalog industry, but in office product stores. Envelopes, you see now Chase Banks has all of their paper and envelopes and mailers going out on FSC certified paper. Walmart did their annual report on FSC certified paper certified by the Rainforest Alliance. Chiquita Bananas, about 85% of all of Chiquita Bananas around production is Rainforest Alliance certified. They haven't really done any marketing yet in the United States of the bananas, largely because of supply chain segregation issues, but we're very hopeful that this year is the year that they begin to market and promote the bananas. Caribou Coffee is a Minnesota-based roaster that we've worked with for years, one of our early partners in coffee, that has increased their commitment and their sourcing of Rainforest Alliance certified coffees annually, and is doing more and more in-store, on-package, on-cup promotion. Lipton, as I mentioned, has really begun this sort of the second half of this past year to market and promote Rainforest Alliance certified teas. In the U.S., they now have both the teas in bag as well as the ready-to-drink iced teas in grocery stores and convenience stores. And, you know, in many cases, you may think, well, this company is in the same sector of the market that I'm in, so this is actually a competitor. What we've seen in other markets is really that when there are competitors pursuing Rainforest Alliance certified coffees, it's sort of the rising tide lifts all boats. Has really held true in that, you know, if you're a tea company and there's another tea company that is really marketing and promoting heavily their ties to the Rainforest Alliance and their sourcing of certified teas, that has really actually helped other competing companies be successful with endeavors in certification as well. So don't look at, you know, your competitor on this screen as something that's necessarily a negative. And in many cases, these are sectors, because we are working in a variety of sectors. These other sectors are again really going to help you. If you're a coffee company, you're a tea company, you're a chocolate company, if Naked Juice is doing more and more promotion both on bottle and in print and other venues for media, that's only going to help your cause if you're doing Rainforest Alliance certification as well. Newman's Own Organics is really the first national chocolate brand to pursue 100% Rainforest Alliance certified cocoa. Mars has made a really significant public commitment to source, I believe it's about 220, 250 million pounds of Rainforest Alliance certified cocoa by 2020. And we work with them on the coffee end as well with their Mars Drinks Flavia line, and they're increasing every year their commitment to Rainforest Alliance certification. Even in the in the drugstores and cosmetics aisles, you'll begin to see Rainforest Alliance certified products. We also have a couple products in cleaning aisles where they're natural products that are using, whether it's Rainforest Alliance certified aloe or other oils. More and more in various sectors, you'll see products starting to pop up. And, you know, again, we're working in a variety of sectors. We're working with retailers. We're working with grocery stores. We're working with coffee chains. Just to give you a sense of who all we're working with, Whole Foods probably jumps out on that list because we are one of their whole trade verifiers. So any product that is certified or does contain Rainforest Alliance certified crops in it basically would qualify for the whole trade program. In some cases, that may give you access to the store shelves, in which case, you know, in the chocolate realm is one where they're really pushing vendors to have Rainforest Alliance certified cocoa. Convenience stores, there seems to be more and more convenience stores by the month that are sourcing Rainforest Alliance certified coffees for their customers. Walmart has a private label coffee. They're starting to work with us on furniture, et cetera, et cetera. So really the growth is tremendous. You know, many individuals, both working in corporate social responsibility and marketing, often ask us, well, has the recession really, you know, dampened the enthusiasm for Rainforest Alliance certification, or has it hurt you financially? In many ways, I would say the recession has actually been a net positive for the Rainforest Alliance in our agriculture program, because companies see sustainability as a trend that's not going away. It's a trend that's continuing to rise, and it's something that gives those companies more sustainability themselves, whether it's in their sourcing relationships, their marketing collateral, whatever realm it may be. We're seeing more interest, we're seeing more successful campaigns, more companies signing on to source Rainforest Alliance certified crops, more companies signing licensing agreements, etc. Just a sampling of coffee companies, restaurants, other providers that are sourcing Rainforest Alliance certified coffees, cocos, etc. And then hotels and hospitality chains is another area where we're really seeing significant growth. All of these companies source to one degree or another some certified crops or crops from certified farms. The Holiday Inn and the Hyatt have Rainforest Alliance certified coffees in each of their rooms, so you'll see the seal there. And what I've showed you thus far has really been the efforts of companies accompanied by Rainforest Alliance staff really making sure that the marketing and promotion is done effectively and appropriately. But we as an organization have begun to do more and more promotion and sort of guerrilla tactic marketing and networking promoting as well. You can see there's a Times Square billboard ad space that was donated to us where we had the Rainforest Alliance seal and a couple different promotions going every hour on the hour for a couple different months. Martha Stewart did a promotion on sustainability and featured the Rainforest Alliance, and Giselle Bundchen, among other celebrities, have begun promoting Rainforest Alliance. She was the host of our gala last year. And really, we're trying through, because we are a nonprofit organization, we're trying through affordable and pro bono and free channels to really get our name out there so that the consumer isn't asking you what Rainforest Alliance certification is, but they're coming to you demanding it because they know how good it is and what the impacts are on the ground. So we as an organization have a variety of tools and resources available to you. We have, through our agriculture program, experts in the markets, experts in supply chains, experts on the ground for sustainability, for farmer training, for post-harvest practices in a variety of crops. We have experts in the media, in PR, in communications, marketing, etc. So if there's something where you're really looking to bounce some ideas off of some folks, please come to us. We'd rather have you be successful with your campaigns than to come to us a year down the road, sort of not having been very successful. We offer webinars like this, trainings, presentations for marketing and sales staff. We also have a host of online tools available to you, whether it's just a regular website, rainforestalliance.org, our marketplace, which I believe probably most of you have access to. That's where we do use of seal, artwork approval. We have our traceability component of our website. And there's another portion there, which once you're registered and logged in, you can click on the fourth menu, which is Marketing Tools. And in the Marketing Tools portion of the website, you can find messaging tips, examples of what some other companies have done successfully. And that's really, it's a password-protected portion of the site. It's really available to companies that have chosen to work with us. And, there are a whole slew of various resources there. One of the new tools that we have, which just came out a week or two ago, is what we call our virtual smart farm. And it's a tool you can find. If you go to the website, it's right on the home page. It's a tool that basically anybody can go in and they can learn about certification. They can learn about what a certified farm might look like, how certification plays out on the ground. It's really a neat interactive tool. You can watch some videos, see interviews, see images, etc. So we encourage you to use it not only for your personal use, but for you to pass it out, whether it's your sales staff or even to use creatively for your consumers that are coming to your websites. Aside from the online tools, we also have a variety of promotional materials that we use. One of the new pieces we have is a window cling, available in both a green and a black version. We have plush frogs, tote bags. All of those are available at cost to you. If any of you don't have the newest promotional materials order form, please send any one of us an email. You can send it to me. You can send it to Dan or Petra, Mark, etc. in the New York office. We're all happy to make sure that you have the tools and resources available to you. Additionally, oftentimes companies, will come to us and they'll say, well, we really want to do this larger campaign and we know we're going to need more assistance from you. So our communications and marketing team has a variety of services that they can provide to you at a cost, whether it's in a package over a year or over a 2-year period, or if it's even a short-term build-up to a larger campaign. So to give you a sense of some of the resources that they can offer: messaging support, participation in media events. We oftentimes will organize media tours on farms. So these are some things to just keep in mind, where if there is something larger and there is really an interest in engaging our staff and our marketers in more depth, that we can do that as well. So if you ever have any questions about messaging, I'm sure all of you probably know that all artwork that bears our seal does need to be approved. Whether it's on pack or off pack, we really want you to come to us. You will need to go through our online marketplace for approval, but we also have all of these tools, and we have staff available via email, via telephone, to just provide you with feedback and provide you with some examples of what has been done successfully and really get you set on the right path. That's all I've got right now. I will open it up to questions, but I do want to reiterate that we are available. We can talk to you about, we can give a presentation geared towards your company's needs, geared towards your marketers, geared towards your green coffee, cocoa sourcers, et cetera, et cetera. So I've got a series of questions that are here in the queue. So I will go ahead and dive in, and please do interrupt me if you want to ask an additional question, or go ahead and just raise your hand. There's a little hand-raising icon that you can use there as well. So just give me a minute to get through these questions. The first one that I do see is, do you have any data regarding how much on average farmers are receiving for their RA-certified coffee per pound versus fair trade, which guarantees commodity price? So a couple things in response to that question. So the quick breakdown of Rainforest Alliance certification versus some of the other certifications, and let's just focus on fair trade versus Rainforest Alliance now. It's one of the questions we get asked most frequently. Fair trade is largely about two things. They're largely about the organization of farmers into democratically organized co-ops and the minimum price paid per pound. They have additional criteria, particularly on the environmental side. Their criteria are what they call progress requirements, so there's no minimum standard, but they basically have to make progress over time. But largely they're about the organization of farms and the trade of a crop. Rainforest Alliance certification does not engage in the trading of any crop, so we're not guaranteeing prices, we're not doing negotiations for you in any of your dealing, but we focus on comprehensive sustainability on the farm and in on-farm practices. So we do not guarantee a minimum price. In the coffee realm, I would say the average premium because farmers and importers and others in the trade will actually hand over information voluntarily. We don't require them to give it to us. The average that we do see is probably between an 8 to 12 cent premium in coffee. In cocoa, the fair trade price is really quite irrelevant today, because the current market price is 100% greater, and that's for commodity grade cocoa, so it's 100% greater than the guaranteed minimum fair trade price. And Rainforest Alliance certification we are seeing additional premiums, considerable premiums, depending on the market and the quality. All of that being said, in terms of what we do see and what we do experience and what are the differences, we often times, I think it's a critique of our system that we don't guarantee a minimum price. But in discussions with the farms we do work with, the farmers that we do work with, we often see greater strides in the livelihoods and financial well-being of farmers through other gains, not just in the trading and the price setting of those crops. So any gains that a farmer can make in reducing costs, oftentimes reducing or eliminating pesticides, worker retention, etc., increasing productivity. Often we see that most in the cocoa realm. We see it most in terms of post-harvest processing and providing training and technical assistance for farmers, so that when they are processing their cocoa, they're not losing 30 to 40% of their crop. And also we see considerable gains by going through certification in quality improvements. It's not something that's guaranteed for a farmer, but it is something that we do see frequently. And so we try to steer clear from just a minimum price paid per pound issue because we feel that the long-term sustainability and financial well-being of a farm and a farmer is dictated by many more variables than just the price that the farmer gets. And again, that being said, we do see farms getting considerable premiums, and it depends on the origin, quality, crop, etc. So I see we have, let's see, we got a bunch of other questions here. Just want to make sure I'm not skipping any. So give me one moment. We relate in real time with customers via social networks, Facebook, Twitter, etc. How can we share information about our relationship with Rainforest to our social network audience? And may we speak from the knowledge gained today and from RA website, or do these communications that mention RA need to be improved? That's actually a question that came up recently. My sort of the quick answer is we also are very much engaged in Twitter and Facebook and many of the other social networking venues and channels. So we really encourage you to connect to us through all of those channels. In terms of how you can speak about us and what needs to be approved and what doesn't, if you are using the seal, we do ask that you do get approval. In terms of posting something about talking about Rainforest Alliance, etc., we can't monitor and approve every single Twitter posting, but we do ask you that you follow our guidelines in terms of the use of seal as well as our messaging tips on our website. And if any questions come up, feel free and please do just contact somebody, whether it's myself or Abby or Carol or others in our communications and marketing team, or Danner, Mark, Petra, and others in New York. So next question. Can we get a copy of the presentation today? Yes, I believe actually we've recorded the webinar, so you will be able to make it available to other staff members that weren't able to attend, or maybe customers that want to learn more about Rainforest Alliance certification. So just follow up with me via email, but likely you can just go to the website and find it there as well. Another, may we have a copy of the presentation question? Another one, and another. I take that as positive feedback that you'd like copies of the presentation. Let's see, I believe that's all the questions I have, unless I've missed something here. Give me one moment to make sure that I'm not missing any questions. Okay, so I just did get a message from one of my colleagues that the presentation will be available on the communications and marketing pages. So when you do go to the marketplace, you log in and you go to marketing tools, you'll be able to find the presentation there. And my assumption is that it will be downloadable. If any problems arise, just give any one of us a call or an email and we'll get it for you. And I believe that's all the questions. Oop, here we go. We've got one more. What qualifies a verifier or certifier for the Rainforest Alliance? So within our agriculture department, we have 4 divisions. We have our auditing group, which is where this question lies. We have our standards and policies group, and they're really focused on making improvements to our standards, which is done on a every 3-year basis. We make additions and improvements to the standards. They will develop standards for new crops. They'll develop local indicators for crops, because producing cocoa in Cote d'Ivoire is nothing like producing cocoa in, say, Costa Rica, or coffee, similarly coffee in Ethiopia versus coffee in Sumatra. And so they'll focus on developing local standards that are culturally and environmentally and ecologically appropriate. And the 3rd group is what we call our Sustainable Landscapes group, which is really focused on developing supply and working with farmers to provide training and assistance at origin across all of the crops that we work in. And then the 4th group, which is the group that I'm in, is what we call our Sustainable Value Chains group, and we're focused on pretty much everything post-producer. So if it's something to do with supply chain or marketing or promotion or relationship building with companies, that's where our role is. Now, getting back to the auditing question, there's a couple pieces to this and what qualifies a certifier. Currently, we have certifying partners, which are NGOs in 11 countries, that basically they are qualified and have been original partners with the Rainforest Alliance in what we call our Sustainable Agriculture Network. So their auditors have been trained and have basically helped develop the standards over the years. They now are separate entities from our SAN partners, or our Sustainable Agriculture Network partners. If they're in any of those 11 countries, only auditors from those partner NGOs are going out into the field, and basically they'll go through a series of auditor trainings. They need to be an assistant auditor, which is going with a lead auditor for a variety of audits, or for a number of audits, before they can ultimately be an auditor on their own. In other cases, we have a group that will handle audits in other parts of the world, and we basically have a verification process where auditors need to go through training workshops with our lead auditors and our auditor trainings. And then again, they'll need to go out and be assistant auditors on a number of audits, and then ultimately they can work towards the full auditor capacity. We ourselves are a founding member of what is called the ISEAL Alliance, which is a group of nonprofit certifiers. It includes Fair Trade, it includes FSC, Marine Stewardship Council, so it's certification bodies across the spectrum of industries. And the group got together, the organizations got together to form the ISEAL Alliance to establish what we consider best practices. And so many of our practices are dictated by what ISEAL and the Alliance of all certifiers that are performing at high levels see as best practices. The other thing is we're also in the final stages of going through ISO 65 ourselves for our agriculture program, and so separation between standard setting bodies and auditors and technical assistance providers and auditors are all requisites of that. So those are all things that have been going on for the last couple of years, and we're making changes to our system to make sure that we're improving along the way and really performing at the highest level possible. Okay. Many of our customers, next question, ask for copies of farm certificates. What is the best way to obtain them? It depends on, I see this is a coffee question, so I'm going to deal with this from a coffee perspective. The best way, if you aren't able to get it, and maybe I'm not understanding entirely completely this question, but the best way to get it is through our online marketing, our online marketplace. And seeing who this question is, it's an expert in our online marketplace, so you may not be getting the information you need from the online marketplace. So what I would suggest is asking the importer to get a copy of it from the exporter or from the farm itself, depending on how the trade is working for you. So the farm itself will have it, and oftentimes the exporter will have a copy of it as well. But if it's just a copy of farm certificates for a coffee transaction, then I would think that printing out the actual transactions that shows the farm origin is probably the best solution today. Can we receive or see a copy of the audit rules in which an auditor uses when certifying a farm? So yes, we can basically, we'll give you, I mean, there's a farm certification manual. Maybe I see this is from Endangered Species Chocolate. So I will go ahead and follow up with you and make sure that we get you the information, because there are a couple different things. It could be a farm certification manual, it could be an auditor scorecard that you're looking for, or it could be some of the guidelines of what an auditor is supposed to be looking for, a copy of the indicator. So there are a variety of things, and I want to make sure I'm getting you the right resource. Next question, what is the name of your NGO partner within Ecuador? That would be Conservación y Desarrollo. They're located in Quito. And so if you want, you can get their contact information from our website, or if you want to just set up a meeting with them, we can set that up for you as well. This is a follow-up to the coffee, not a transaction certificate, but an annual overall farm certificate. So that's, if it's every single farm you're sourcing from, and you're sourcing from dozens and dozens of farms, I would say the best way is to go through your supply chain. If it's a couple cases for a specific customer, we are happy to facilitate tracking down those certificates. But because we have 31,000 farms and over 2,000 companies we work with, we can't get every farm, the farm actual certificate to you for every customer and every farm, but we can get those for you in certain cases when your customers are asking for them. Okay, any more questions? I do see a couple more comments from a couple of my colleagues. If you have any suggestions or requests for marketing tools, so if you guys are developing campaigns, putting out materials, promotional items, and something comes to mind that you think, well, I wonder if the Rainforest Alliance has this, or I really wish the Rainforest Alliance had this, we encourage you to reach out to us, because we take advice from companies, from marketers, from individuals all the time, and we're always looking to improve the resources and tools that we have available to you. And so if there's something that you really would like to have that we can get to you and we can provide to you or we can work on with you, then we're happy to do that. The other thing to mention is that every year our annual fundraising gala occurs in May, and the day of the gala there's a marketing workshop held in New York City, and it's a full day where individuals from PR agencies, NGOs, companies that we work with give a variety of presentations on what they're doing to sort of lead the way in the sustainability realm, what they're doing that has been or proved really effective, and how they're partnering with the Rainforest Alliance. And it's really a good tool or resource or venue for you to learn about what some other companies are doing as well. We also encourage you on your own websites to link to the tools section of our website that we have available. So I think that's all the questions that I've got. As I mentioned earlier, please do feel free to follow up with me individually. My email, in case you need it, is amorgan@ra.org. If you want to follow up about a specific question you asked me or a specific thing that you're looking for follow-up, let me know. There are a variety of others in our communications and marketing group that can help you, as well as the folks in New York. So please do reach out to us. We want to work with you to make sure that you're successful, and of course we have an interest in growing the number of companies working with us and the volumes that you're sourcing or procuring, because ultimately those have positive impacts on the ground for farms and for farmers. So thanks for participating today, and feel free to let me know if you have any other questions. Thanks a lot. Oh, please announce again where we might be able to locate the presentation on the RA Marketplace. You will find that, so if you go in Marketplace, there are there are 5 drop-down menus now. One is traceability, one is use of seal, there are a couple others. One of them is marketing tools, and if you click there, that's the portion of the website where you'll be able to find it. So you do need to log in and register. If you're not registered already, you first need to register in the Marketplace, and then log in to the Marketplace, and then you'll see those 5 menu items right there. So that's all for today. I hope I wasn't too long for you. Glad we kept it under an hour, and I look forward to speaking with each and every one of you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.